Hey, welcome to today's episode of the Half of This Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Daniel Martinez. Today I have a special guest, Garrett. What part of the country are you from, Garrett?
Yeah, man, Southeast Virginia, like near Virginia Beach area.
Virginia Beach. My brother lives in Dumfries, outside of
Nice.
South Sea. Yep.
Yeah, very cool, man. Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it's crazy humid here, like I guess everywhere in the country it feels like right now, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, that West Virginia, like the mountains, it's very, very beautiful.
Absolutely.
I haven't been up there in a while, but it's a nice scenery.
You'll need to come. You need to come. Don't they all say that, right? We all try to pick our own states. Like, yeah, I haven't been to the mountains in a while either, even though it's pretty close to me.
Yeah, I have. My brother lives in Virginia. I haven't been to his house probably in like 7 years.
Nice.
He usually comes to me or my other family, and then I'll go to them. So I'm originally from Chicago. So whenever we visit, he'll go to Chicago, and I'll go to Chicago.
Nice. That's awesome. That's maybe a little better than Dumfries. No offense to anybody listening from Dumfries. I'd probably choose Chicago also.
Oh, man. All right, but this is a real estate show. Let's talk about your real estate, man. One thing I love about your faith-based, and you're trying to build your own niche around faith. And I really don't talk about religion a lot, but I respect it. So let's talk about a little about your real estate background and how the faith and religion and business came cohesively. So
man. Yeah, so I started in June of 2014 and started on a team, was there for a year and 9 months-ish, and then left and started my own team in March 2016.
So you're a broker?
Nope, just part of Keller Williams. I've got a small team of agents, not a broker.
Okay, I gotcha. So what's the whole combination of like combining faith and real estate?
Man.
By community?
Yeah, well, so and the faithful agent component is actually a separate coaching and training company. My real estate business has just been 100% by referral since day one. I didn't grow up here, and I can dive into whatever you want me to dive into, but it wasn't until really kind of the June of 2022 where I looked around and saw, for me as a Christian, I was looking for a community of agents specifically for Christians to see if I can network with like-minded people, and I didn't find it. So, like the entrepreneur that I am, good and bad sometimes, I decided just to start it and create a place where certainly anyone can come and be challenged in the course that we have. Plenty of people have bought it and been encouraged by it that aren't Christians or of the Christian faith, but specifically for the Christian community to come and grow their business, grow their faith. That's the hope and that's the desire of what we do with the Faithful Agent. Okay.
How are you combining the two? That's the big question. Like, how do you combine the two of being? Is it like your ethics or just how you react to people in the business space? Because I think most business can be very mud throwing, and real estate can get really in the muck really quick sometimes.
No doubt.
How are you how do you combat that?
I mean, it's tough, right? No doubt. I would certainly be lying if I said I've never, been rude to an agent or been frustrated at an agent, right? I mean, I think that it's a recognition that we constantly have to remind ourselves. My natural reaction, typically, especially in heated moments, is going to be rude or sinful to that person. And so I need to pause for a second, think about, all right, do I really want to say what I'm about to say? Now, I might really want to say it, but should I say what I really want to say, right? How do I come alongside them and say, hey, I know you're frustrated. Let's work this out, right? Can we have a conversation over this? And it's difficult. Quite honestly, Daniel, it's difficult because sometimes it feels like you're just getting beat up a lot. And as someone who is trying to be a peacemaker, there's plenty of agents that just try to steamroll you. And those aren't easy scenarios, right? I'm also going to have a spine. So no, I'm not going to let them steamroll me. I think most of it is what I've learned over the past 9 years is I just address it very much head on. And so, for example, if we're just in the, if someone's really frustrated or agent or whatever, I'll just say, hey, can we pause for a second? It sounds like you're super frustrated about something. Can you explain to me what that is? Right. And, I've got 4 little kids, 6, 4, 2, and 3 weeks old. So I'm used to dealing with that kind of stuff head on. They're frustrated about something and having just to talk to them and try to control my own emotions in that scenario is difficult. And I certainly don't do it right all the time. But I think it's the same way in negotiating or working with a client or an agent or whatever. You got to just try to hit it head on. Tell me what's really going on. Right. I want to understand. I want to see if we can help each other. And sometimes we're not on the same page. Sometimes we are. But I think if you can control your emotions, it really does create a better outcome.
So I like this conversation because I think a lot of negotiations and your day-to-day life, I think, comes with like how you control your inward self, I think, as a whole, because like if you come if you come like always aggressive, you can always seem like the asshole. So it can be construed harshly depending on how you react.
Yep, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, I think, and we've all heard, you get more bees with honey, right? But I think the reality is, the top producing agents, right, know how to put a deal together, and very rarely is it the one who just hammers home to be the one that comes out on top, right? I mean, our job, the whole point of having an agent is so that the seller and buyer emotions are separate out of the transaction, and the two agents can come together level-headed and figure it out. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a recognition of, number one, that I'm going to do things wrong too, right? I'm going to make mistakes. There's going to be frustrations on their part.
This show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings, and of course to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
That are legitimate. There's going to be frustrations on their part that, I always try to think a little bit deeper. I don't know all the agents. I'm not going to get to know everything about every agent, right? But, it would be unfair for me to say, well, they're just a jerk. Well, what if they had a really bad day with, their kid or they're going through something tough with their spouse or a parent or whatever? It'd be completely unfair of me to just assume that everything's fine in their life. They're just being a jerk about it, right? So trying to be empathetic, even if I don't know what's going on, and listen and hear them out. Again, I'm not perfect at that by any stretch of the imagination, but I think if we can put ourselves in the other person's shoes, makes a world of difference, and try to get on their team and see what we can work out together.
Do you feel you have the upper hand because you're operating the way you operate?
I don't know I'm sure I do. I've never thought about it that way. I think that the person that can control themselves the best is typically going to come out on top for sure. We all know agents that are highly emotional or jump back and forth between highs and lows and all over the place. And I think that's just a recipe for burnout, number one. But also, number two, if I can control the emotions and the swings and just be pretty steady, consistently, then I'm going to win. When I'm teaching, I often say consistency equals consistency and inconsistency equals inconsistency, right? That's the nature of business. So even if your emotions are inconsistent, your business probably will be too. But if your emotions are consistent, if you are pretty level-headed, your business will probably be that too. So does it give you a leg up? I think it does overall in terms of business building and then certainly productivity when you're trying to work something out on behalf of your, whatever, your buyer, seller, whatever you're trying to do.
Okay, I gotcha. No, it's an interesting dynamic. I feel like I haven't been religious in a long time, but I still operate in that mode just because of the way I was brought up. So that's why I'm not afraid of conversations, and like things have changed personally. But for me, it's one of the things where like I still hold myself to a standard, even though I'm not necessarily 100% religious.
Yep. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. As we all should, right? At the end of the day, I mean, if there's no moral foundation to what you're trying to do, then man, does that fall apart quickly, or you end up trying to play whatever role you think the people around you want you to play. And again, that's a recipe for burnout too. How in the world does anybody do that effectively and try to show up a certain way to everybody? How do you remember who you were supposed to be when you show up, right? Have a moral foundation and stay consistent as best you can. I mean, I think that's the key to just being consistent in anything, right? It's hard, but if you don't have any kind of solid foundation, I don't know how anybody would do that, right? That's almost impossible.
Yeah. It can get moved really quick.
No doubt. No doubt.
Do you feel some people portray like Christianity or falsely with a false narrative as leverage in different situations?
Mhm.
I know it's a hard question.
Oh, no, sorry. Did you, what was the question on it?
Do you feel like some people portray themselves with a false narrative just to get the upper hand in negotiations?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And yeah, I mean, that's absolutely frustrating. You know, even the Bible tells us to not do that, to not use the Lord to try to gain an advantage, right? Or for our own gain. It is to try to bring glory to him by how we operate and what we do. And yeah, there are plenty of people that will use the name of Jesus and use it and try to get business and find people that are similar. And yeah, I mean, I think that's absolutely frustrating. I think anyone would feel that way, right? If you were to say, you know, Hive Mind represents X, Y, and Z, and then you know the person does not represent that at all, but it's going to help their brand. So like, yeah, that's me too. You know what I mean? You just get frustrated by, for you guys, you've created, for me, it's, I believe and know these set of realities, and I want to hold to those. And if someone's taking advantage of that just for their own gain, absolutely, that's frustrating, right? Now, at all times, we all try to take advantage of stuff for our own gain. That's how humans are wired. Doesn't mean that's always the right thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to hate that person by any means, but yeah, I'd like to have a conversation with them if that's the case. And I have for some people, just to try to talk them through and say, hey, why are you doing this? Let's talk about it. What does it mean? What you're trying to represent? You know, depending on that conversation.
So I love your answers. it's refreshing. It's refreshing. That's why I'm asking hard questions.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. Bring them on. I like it.
Let's talk about a little about you said you have a podcast. What's your podcast called?
Yep. So it's called The Faithful Agent, believe it or not, just like the coaching and training business. So it's for Christians in real estate. Same thing. Look at that, man. You were telling me how cool that is. You can pop stuff up. I'm so jealous. I need to get this system. But yep, The Faithful Agent podcast. And then the company is faithfulagent.com.
Okay. What's your, like, what type of audience are you looking for? What do you try to educate through your podcast?
Yeah, man. So it is for anyone, any Christian in the real estate space in general. So lenders, title company. I mean, it's really anybody, but specifically agents, lenders, title company, people that really live in the space that we're in. I think it specifically encourages them. And we talk about, you know, specific lead generation tactics from a biblical perspective. You know, we got an upcoming conference. We did one in March. We've got another one in October 17th in Northern Virginia. And so it's just to encourage them from this certain biblical perspective, because again, the whole reason it started is because I went out to try to find it and couldn't. So I was like, all right, well, I guess we should do this. And my business partner, Tyler, who is my closest friend, he was actually a professional baseball player for 10 years, incredible guy. And, you know, again, entrepreneur, good and bad. Right, Daniel? I told him, I think it was in July of last year, I told him, hey, we should do a conference. And he was like, all right, that's a pretty good idea. You know, and he's very like much slower to make decisions in a good way and bad way, I guess. And I don't think about most things, right? Because I'm optimistic about everything. Yeah. And I called him the next week and I said, hey, dude, guess what? I booked a hotel for a conference. He's like, wait a minute. We didn't even decide we were doing a conference. I was like, I think we should do a conference. Let's do a conference. And we knew nothing about it. And we figured it out, man. Lots of people came around and it was awesome. So anyways, doing another one. So it's that whole idea, a place for Christians in this space to come together and know they can learn and grow together. I mean, I think that's really important.
So for me, I generally steer away from politics and religion. But the reason why I decided to have this podcast for everybody here listening is I push people to create, and I love supporting community, no matter where it comes from. So it wasn't necessarily, this isn't necessarily like my normal podcast episode that I do, but I saw the need for community, and I saw the need for being niche down and for just doing a good thing, no matter what sector it comes from. Even if it's something I'm not 100% behind, I still want to support it because it's a good thing. And a lot of people, even you said it, it's just there's nothing out there like that, so you created it. And I think that's the biggest thing, commendation to you, is that if you see a problem, fill the need. Yeah. Not everybody.
I love that.
Not everybody can do it, but it's a different type of respect for people that fill the need.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I love that. And, I teach and I'm actually working on a book right now, and it's a formula for lead generation. And it's the PDA formula, because I think it's funny, because I remember high school and PDA was like, oh, the PDA, that's disgusting. Anyways, there's nothing to do with that. But the A is aligned. Does it align with you? Right. And I think a lot of people miss that in business and real estate. Certainly they miss, like, hey, are you actually wired to do this? Right. There's this false idea, false belief that I've got to do what the industry tells me to do. That's how I succeed, right? So I'm going to go door knock and open house and buy leads and referrals and all the different things. And it leads to a lot of agents feeling like they're not good enough or incapable. And I certainly believe, Albert Einstein is the one that said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid. Right? It wasn't made to climb a tree. It was made to swim. But in real estate and in business in general, but we are trying to tell a lot of fish that they need to go climb a tree. And when they can't, they're like, I'm failures and I can't do this, right? I think people need to recognize in and of themselves what aligns with me, and I'm going to build my business that way. But to your point, Daniel, which I absolutely 100% agree with, but then also know that there are tons of networks out there already, but plenty of people who don't align with any of them. Right? It's a false idea to say that there's enough out there that, they can find their place. Well, I couldn't. Right. And being a Christian in real estate, there's a pretty large group of us, and yet there wasn't anything. Right. So don't tell yourself that the way you're wired and who you are, that other people don't align with that and want to be part of what you're doing too. So I agree with you 1000%, man. I love that. That's your heart behind it.
I think it's like a leader. A leader's always going to fill the need that comes up and presents itself in front of them. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I like about your alignment thing is that you shouldn't have to do everything. There should be something that you excel at, your God-given gift that you were given, and you should find and really hone in on that gift, and that should be your goal. Not everybody has the wherewithal to be a CEO. Not everybody wants to be, or not everybody wants to be, but there's points and positions that were set for you based off of your God-given gift.
Absolutely, 100%. And when I talk to people about my story, I started with 40 people in my database. I'm not from here. I've only ever done referrals, and I've never bought a lead or done an open house even, or cold called or door knocked ever in 9 years. And I've sold over 550 houses just by relationships, right? And what I tell people is, and now I went to those classes to try to learn how to do those things, but I had at least enough awareness to say, this just isn't who I am. And if in 5 years from now, I have a big business built on X, Y, and Z that doesn't fit me, I'm not even going to like the business that I have. So that doesn't make sense. So I at least had enough wherewithal to say, I'm going to build it by relationships. But I tell people all the time, if I had believed what the industry had told me, which is you got to cold call, 300 people a day, I wouldn't be here still. I'd be burnt out. Like, I would have quit because it wouldn't have worked. Because if it aligns with you, you're going to be naturally more consistent and you're going to be better. You just will be better at it, right? But if I had to do something that was counter to who I was, I wouldn't be that good, and it would burn me out quickly, and I would be pretty inconsistent about it. I probably wouldn't even be in the industry still, right? So part of my big passion is helping agents understand that you don't have to do what the industry tells you to do. You need to figure out, who am I, and go find a way to build a business that way. There's plenty of people who have already done it, right? Or blaze your own path. At the end of the day, exactly what you're talking about. I love you said earlier, like niching down to really understand, who you are and who needs what you have and who you are. At the end of the day, like, your job is not to do business with everyone, but business with people who believe what you believe. And how are they ever going to do that if you're not honest about who you are, right? There's lots of people that want to work with, so-and-so that lives in Chicago and is this specific way, because guess what? It just connects with them. I can't connect with the people you can, and you can't connect with the people I can, maybe. And there's a lot of people that want to work with you, but you're trying to be like everyone else, and that doesn't even make sense. And so I think really understanding the alignment of, how was I wired? What am I made to do? I'm just going to go do that well. And if I do that well, I think I'll build a business. And there's lots of examples of how that worked. But, I think that's really, really important to just be super honest. This is who I am, and build a business this way. And I'm not going to listen to what everybody tells me to do. Not that there's not good wisdom, have wisdom and discernment there, but I'm not just going to go do what they tell me to do because I'm supposed to. That doesn't make sense. Nor is that a good business plan if it's going to burn you out and you're not going to succeed.
I really want to dig in on this because I've never heard. I mean, I've seen it before. People build business off networking, but how have you built your business 100% network without marketing? Because I know how I did it, because I did it in my own way too, and it didn't start that way. It kind of developed over time, and you kind of learn along the way. But how did you do it?
Yeah, man. So I think the truth. So I'll give you some numbers and stuff or some statistics that are going to help. But I'm really fortunate. So I stepped out of production a year and a half ago, and I only have one agent and one admin. So very, very small team. I just got to the point where I want to spend more time with my kids. So I'm going to figure out a way out. And real numbers, last year we spent $10,000 total for the year on marketing, and our GCI was $900,000, right? We got a 9,000% return on our investment into lead generation. And the numbers, as I started to understand it as I was building, I didn't know what I was doing at the beginning, right? I was just, work by relationship. And thankfully it worked. It started to work. It took me 6 months to get a deal. But the average, so I'll give you a few stats. The average person knows 256 people. Okay. So I've got a database of, just shy of 300 people, and that generated 69 closed transactions last year. So people ask how you did that. Well, average person knows 256 people. My database then of 300 people reaches 75,600 people, 300 by 256. And according to NAR, I've got a 91% chance to convert any of those 75,000 people that get referred to me, right? I'm going to convert them. The math is there. I can serve 300 people really well, and through them have a massive reach, right? They're the ones that are actually out there generating business for me. I'm just caring for my people. And then when someone says, got a referral yesterday. Hey, Daniel, I want to introduce you to Garrett. He's a great guy. He's going to take good care of you to help you buy a home. Right? No one's talking about you're the number one agent in town or have the great market. They don't know. They just say he'll take care of you. Right? What they really want is you can trust this guy. He's going to do a good job. Cool. And man, we convert those all day. Right? Number one, it's where the leads come from. That's the biggest piece of this. And so on the flip side, right, a lot of agents' business is the inverse of that, which is I need to go cold call, 75,000 people. I have no idea how long that would take, right? But try to cold call 75,000 people in hopes that I get a 1 or 2% conversion. And even there, those relationships aren't fully built on trust. So it's harder. Right. So that work is harder. The math is more difficult. It's more expensive. And I'm not knocking anybody that does that. All I'm saying is most of the time we forget about the relationships we already have in search of the new one. And my pitch and my explanation to them is all I've done is care for people consistently. Right. And I can walk through my entire system, whatever you want me to do, happy to share. But all I've done is consistently show up for my people. And because of that, they've consistently showed up for me, and they send me friends and they send me people they work with, whatever. And when that person shows up, we convert them and we close them. And I need last year, me and my agent did 86 deals. I needed 87 appointments to get 86 deals. Right? The conversion is amazing. The lifestyle is amazing because I'm not going on 300 to get 86. It's just a different way to do business, and focusing on the people that you care about most that already like you. They're the ones that want you to succeed. So don't forget about them. And the more that I teach, the more that I realize most people have forgotten about their database. And there's a lot of business to be had and relationships to be had there.
Okay. I got a couple questions with this one. So
please.
Fair enough. How do you build, let's start off with the first 10 people. How do you build a relationship with the first 10 people, and how do you sustain that relationship at small scale?
Yeah, man. So the first thing I would tell anybody, because I get that a lot, is when you're starting off, is sit down with a blank piece of paper and write out the list of everybody you know, right? And then you're going to go through those, and it could be very small, right? I only had 40 people. I've helped people that started with 20. And you're going to go out to them and you're going to reach out and say, hey, Daniel, as you may or may not know, I'm in the real estate world now, and I plan on building my business by caring for people I care about most, like you. So I was wondering if you had a friend or family member thinking of making a move. Do you have an agent you refer them to? Right? That's your qualifying question. If they say no, great, I'd love to be that agent. And then you get their phone number, email, home address. Now you've got a database. If they say, yeah, I've already got someone, great, don't put them in your database. Once you have those people, then the first step after that, so the second step that you got to understand is most people are wired to only remember you in one context. Okay. So I started and I was an assistant director of admission at the university I graduated from, and I was leading music at my church, right? That's how most people knew me. Well, for the first few months, I just wondered, why are my friends not using me? Why are they not referring me, right? You come in, you think, I've got friends. They're definitely going to tell everybody about me. Well, the truth is I'm thinking about them way more than they're thinking about me, right? So I started to try to understand, why is it that they're not referring me? Well, again, I just did all this research to understand they recognize you in one context. So if you're at the grocery store and you see your doctor and you're like, why do I know them? Oh, that's my doctor, right? There's like that moment where you just don't remember because it's outside of the context. Well, what I started to realize was my friends aren't going to refer a music leader. My friends aren't going to refer a director of admission to help someone buy a house. I needed them to think about me as an agent. So to your question, those first 10 people, you need to first make sure they think about you in the proper way. How do you do that? How did I do that? For the next 6 months, once I figured that out, when I was talking to them in a business setting, right? Not every time I saw them, that would annoy them, right? But I would call them and say, hey, Daniel, it's great seeing you at church yesterday. Hey, wondered if you had a quick minute to talk business. I wanted to share with you what's going on in the real estate market. So I would say business and real estate in every conversation for 6 months. Get them to think about you in the proper way. That's number one. Number two is then just love on them well. I'm coaching people right now and they've got a small database and they say, we just did as of the recording of this, we did a client event on Saturday. We had me and Jesse had 125 people show up for ice cream, right? Pretty easy to get them to come to ice cream in July though. So that helps. But we had 125 people show up and my coaching clients, might say, well, I'm not going to have that many people. Hey, that's okay. You reach out to your people, say, hey, I'm getting started, but you guys are here at the beginning to help me build this thing. And I want you to know I still am so grateful for you guys and your willingness to support me in my business. Can we go get some ice cream? I'd love to take you guys out, right? Hey, 2 people show up. That's awesome. Don't be discouraged, right? That's where it starts. And according to 256 average, the average person knows 256 people, those 2 people know 500 people. And if you get a referral from any of them, you've got a 91% chance to convert. And that's how this builds. They'll introduce you to new people, you serve them. They'll introduce you to more people, you serve them, right? It just takes time. Nothing good is built in a day. It's going to take time for you to develop these relationships, but don't be discouraged by a small database. I had 40 people and I just love them well consistently over time, which again, I can get into the actual systematic approach if you want me to, happy to. But the reality, the mindset of it is these people still know people and they desire at the end of the day to be cared for well, more than your skill set, more than what you know about the real estate market. What they really want is to be cared for. And there's so much statistical data on how lonely people feel today. And it's terrible. What they really want is you just to show up when they're ready to show up. Be present when they're present. And if you can do that, I promise you, consistently over time, you will build a business. I've never met someone who's done that consistently and it didn't work. Relationships always work. It's whether or not you're going to be consistent or not.
So I have a couple questions. I'm going down the line.
You're good.
You're operating in a local market, so you're really heavy deep into local community because you're looking for local business as well. Mm-hmm. How do you do that at scale with 300 people?
Mm-hmm. So again,
factor too, like how do you love on that many people without dedicating so much time to it?
Yeah, man. So my actual numbers right now, and so like I said, I've got one agent. He does all the deals. I just generate business, and we got one admin. I spend 2 hours a week. That's it total on this business. And how? So it's a 36 touch system. I did not create that idea, right? I just created my own version of the 36 touch that we teach and share and have a course on all that stuff. And it's really simple. You do, and I'll give you a super brief overview. Happy to dive into any of it. Sure. You do one mailer a month to everybody, one email a month to everybody. That's 24 touches total. Super, super low value. You just want to do it to stay in front of them. The real magic is we also will do a personal touch every single month. So mine's broken down into quarters, 4 quarters in a year, right? So the first quarter, the first month of every quarter, I send a video text message to everyone in my database. super simple. Hey, Daniel, happy July. I hope your summer's off to a great start, brother. Man, it was, I missed you at the ice cream event, or it was great seeing you at the ice cream event. Make sure you know that in September, we've got this awesome upcoming event too. Would love to see you there. Hope all is well. Not about real estate, super simple, 20 seconds, and knock it out to all, everybody in my database. Takes, 4 hours for the whole month. It doesn't take long, but it's that personal touch, just being in front of them. The second month of the quarter, we write handwritten notes to everyone in the database, and then 25 of those people receive a hand-delivered Popeye gift, and the gift's less than $2. And then the third month of every quarter, like we just did, is a client event, and so we invite everybody. That's really the time for me. So we do 4 client events a year. That's the time for me to see everyone all at once, and so I don't have to go out and see everybody individually. And so we just rinse and repeat that. So video text message month 1, note and Popeye month 2, client event month 3, and then we just repeat it over and over and over again, right? That's the quarter. So second quarter, same thing. Third quarter, same thing, right? And so the secret of it, it's not a secret, but the power of it is it's systematically being in relationship with them. I often would say, Daniel, if someone said, hey, Daniel, you're my best friend, and they don't call you for 8 months, you're going to be like, no, I'm not, right? You don't even talk to me. It's the people that consistently show up in someone's life. That's who they think about, and that's who they know they can rely on. And I've had so many examples of, 4 years of just being consistent with this system, staying in touch with someone. They never respond at all, ever, not once. And then they finally responded like, Garrett, I'm so sorry, I've never responded. I really appreciate you reaching out. We actually are getting ready to sell and buy. Can you help us? Right? It's the power of that relationship and being the only one that's consistently showing up in their life.
I like it. I like it stays to who you are on brand, and you don't have to overcomplicate it. One of the biggest things I think is cool is that you're using nurture techniques to build them personally, whether they participate or not. And then the other thing I lost my train of thought here, but I like that it's a good strategy for local businesses, because it keeps everything personal. You're not having to spend a lot of time with each individual, because I think it's a lot of things. Like you think you have to do more personal conversations, but it's just being top of mind and doing that touches through your CRM multi-touch program.
No doubt. At the end of the day, they want to refer you if they like you and they are like you, right? It goes back to the alignment piece. So, for example, my agent last year was the second full year in the industry. He brought in about 30 of his own transactions, second full year. We said at the very beginning of the year, all right, Jesse, let's focus your business more so on just who you actually are. And he loves to fish, right? I don't know anything about fishing, but he has a boat and he loves to fish. Say, great, we're going to build a business that way. He starts a Facebook group called Reel, REEL, a play on fishing, right? Real estate. Had only 40 people, I think it was like 35 people in the group, closed 7 transactions from that group, 7 transactions from those 35 people. Why? Because he invited people in there who love to fish, and he showed them consistently or invited them to come fish, whatever. Hey, I'm like you. And so when they are ready to buy or sell a home, they don't know who's the best agent, right? Nobody. If somebody asks me if my dentist is the best dentist in town, I have no idea. Right? I like him. That's pretty much all that I know. And so they've connected with Jesse over fishing. They like Jesse. They know Jesse is a real estate agent. So who are they going to call? Nobody wants to go interview the random people that they've never met and try to make a determination. Everyone, like you said, would love to have a guy, quote unquote guy, right? Someone top of mind. It's fun when someone says, hey, do you have a great tree guy? Yes, I do. Let me introduce you, right? And then that tree person does a great job, and they come back to you, say, man, thank you so much for the recommendation. They were amazing, right? You feel good about it, and you're glad that your friend thinks more highly of you because you know good people, right? And so it is that reality of, if they like you, they want you to win. They do. They want you to succeed. I want my friends to succeed, right? And so the depth of that relationship means when there's an opportunity for me to help them succeed or for them to help me succeed, they're going to do it. And I think it's that simple. And now it's just, how do we stay in touch with them consistently for them to feel that way?
One of the things I really like about this is that no matter what your niche, it's all about you and what you love to do because other people like you. You're not, as much as you think is your individual, all of us run in our own little wheel of life that is very similar to other people. So as much as you think is unique, there's other people like you, and you can target people just like you, and you're not having to go out of your comfort zone doing something you don't like doing.
Absolutely, 1000% true, right? You're man, I was in Maryland teaching, and this is pre-COVID, right? Everything so weird that it's been 3 years since COVID. Doesn't make any sense, right? But this is 2019. I'm in Maryland teaching, and I'm right in the middle of the presentation, and a woman in the back starts crying. And I pause and I just say, "Hey, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you feel like it, would you share what's going on?" And essentially she said, "You know what, Garrett, I've been in this business for a year, and I'm a very relational person. I love people. I want to spend more time with people, but I was told that I had to cold call for 3 hours a day. So I've done that every single day during the week, 3 hours a day for a whole year, and I hate it, and it's not working. And this is finally the first time that I feel like I can be myself." Right, and build a business that way. That's my mission when it comes to what I teach, when it comes to working on this book, when it comes to our podcast and everything. You are allowed to be yourself. In fact, you should be. And being yourself, you should be excited about being yourself, and you can build a business by being yourself, right? One of my coaching clients, he's in Texas, so it makes sense, right? He loves to grill meat. Like, that's his thing. I don't know why, that's his thing, right? His nickname is the Ribeye Realtor. Love this guy. And so I said, okay, great. Let's build a business that way. How are we going to do this? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to go find other people who just love grilling meat and trying good meats, right? And you guys are going to get together once a month, and you're going to do a grill off, quote unquote, and you can provide X, Y, and Z, and you're going to get to know these people over the shared common excitement and desire over this, whatever it is, whatever you desire. This is meat. And you're going to have a deeper relationship with them because of that. And they'll know you're an agent. And when it's time for them to sell, or when they have a friend that's going to sell, they're not going to say, go talk to that random person on Zillow. They're going to say, oh, my buddy David, right? He's an awesome guy. He'll take care of you. That's what people actually say when they refer people, right? And so there's so much opportunity there that I think agents just miss.
This kind of conversation turned a little bit, but I love the conversation as a whole. But what is a quote that is yours or somebody else's that you resonate with? I know you said a couple early on. You can throw those again, but I'm sure you have another one, because I think you're that type of guy.
Yeah, I do love quotes. My wife makes fun of me all the time. She's like, you have a quote for everything. Man, so I would say 2. Can I do 2?
You can do 2.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's do 2.
I
Okay.
make the rules here.
That's right. I love that. Yeah. You can click out of my screen if it's too many. Yeah. And I'll know. No. So I would say the first one is, hey, thanks, man. I would say the first one is by Charles Kettering, who is an author. The only time you can't afford to fail is the last time you try. I love that quote, because to me, it's as long as I give myself a long enough runway, I'm allowed to fail. It's totally okay for me to fail. Eventually my plane will take off. And so the only time you can't afford to fail is the last time you try. And then number 2 is, I've heard it said that the definition of hell on earth is the person you could have become meets the person you became. The person you could have become meets the person you became. And that one's like, that's a gut punch right there, right? But I think it's a reminder and encouragement to, I don't know what my potential is. I don't know what your potential is, but I sure know that I haven't hit my potential. Yep. And so each day I should try to get a little bit better, right? And part of that means getting a little more aligned with who I am. And so anyways, those 2, I could go on forever, but those are probably 2 of my favorites.
No, it's amazing. I love asking that question, because there's a lot of them I haven't heard. I'm a quote person, so it's
nice.
Ask the quotes.
That's me. Hey, can you give me one of yours? I'm sure your audience has heard it, but what's your favorite quote? One of them.
This is you build your audience. You build your. I can't think of it right now. You build your credibility off the content you create.
It's good.
Because no one knows who you are, what you represent, if you don't create it.
It's good. It's really good.
And that one's mine, just because I've seen it a lot. And then the other one I like too is that you only have one name. Use it accordingly.
Wow, that's good too.
So those are
like it.
Those are
we should do a quote off on one episode, and that might take a while.
That would be crazy. Where can people find you online? I know we got the faithfulagent.com. I think the way you do marketing as a whole, it's very specific, and this is I didn't expect to have a conversation about that today. I really didn't. We're like, I feel everybody has, no matter who they are or what they are, everybody has a life experience that you can learn from. So I learned a lot today, 100%. And I hope all the listeners did too. But where can people find you online?
Yeah, man. So, faithfulagent.com. They can go there. They can connect with our community. And that's where our course is. They can use promo code podcast, get $100 off if you want. And that's just walking them through the entire system that I've used and built. And then they could just email me, Garrett, Garrett, at faithfulagent.com. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you believe. I want to help. If you're in this industry, I want to help you figure out what's the best thing for you and your family and whatever your situation. So, please reach out in any way I can serve them. I want to do that.
Yep. And like I said, I like this conversation because he's willing to help. It doesn't really matter what you look like, how you look like, or what you do. There's something that you could do in this business that'll work for you. And I think that's what I learned today. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing.
100%. Absolutely.
It's amazing. Well, if you like this episode, go share, subscribe, go follow faithfulagent.com. Go check it out. Go check out the podcast. I hope you learned a lot today. I know I did. And hopefully we'll see you on the next episode. Stay tuned. We'll see you next time, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Garrett, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, we hope you're enjoying this content. If you have leads that you need to dispo anywhere in the country, please visit hivebc.io, like hivebuyersclub.io, and we'll help you move those deals that you need to get into the marketplace.